What's up, it's Ivaldi Sako. Welcome to the Ivaldi Sako podcast. In this episode, we're going to see whatever you saw in the title, of course, and more precisely, I'm going to tell you about the 7 things you must do and learn before starting in business. Or even if you already are in business, if you haven't done these 7 things, you'll most probably fail and stay failing for a very long time until you get these 7 things right. Because these 7 things are foundational. If you don't do them, you will just most likely not be able to get off the ground. And if you do by chance, you will come back down. You will not be able to stay successful. And I'm telling you this because I've made this mistake myself. I've seen it in someone this week, and so I was reminded of these things. And I've also seen them in the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And these are not the 7 habits, right? These are like just 3 of them have to do with these 7 things I'm going to talk to you about in this episode. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to become an entrepreneur, this is going to be tremendously useful. And this is what we're going to be speaking about in the first part. And then I'm also going to tell you about how to build a great business using these 7 things, and also how to be more proactive and be unfazed. Whatever happens around you, whatever happens in your life, you will be unfazed and kind of stay stoic, right? But this is not about stoicism, really. Even maybe in a way it kind of is. And I'm also going to tell you about the easiest way to stop any addiction or bad behavior and not let it come back into your life. And at the end, I'll also tell you about some really, really good lessons I got from a great watchmaker in my city. There's a great watchmaker. In the old times, he created a big, gigantic clock. I'm going to tell you about it, and also about a CIA agent and what I learned from him. So if any of this interests you, if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to build an empire, if you are ambitious, or if you just want to live a great and awesome life, I just talk about things that actually help people like you grow and become truly free and successful, because this is what I want to help you do. And so if you think subscribing on this channel, if you ask yourself, okay, will this serve me or will this not serve me? If the answer is yes, if this will serve me, welcome to the channel. Subscribe. My name is Ivaldi Sako, and I'm the founder of origrowth.com, and here, this is what I do. I try to help people like you become more successful, build a business, build an empire, and live a great life that is worth suffering for, because life is a lot of suffering, and we might as well squeeze the juice out of it and create the life of our dreams. Why not, right? So if this interests you, hey, subscribe. And if this episode helped you in any way, share it with a friend, subscribe, and like it. It will help tremendously. Thank you in advance. So let's get into it. So before starting with these 7 habits, it's not 7 habits, it's 7 things you must know and do. What I must do is talk to you about my experience and tell you about it in the way that I've learned about them, and I was reminded of them, so that maybe with these stories in mind, you are able to actually grasp them and utilize them into your life. And to do so, please, because this is one of the mistakes I did this week, I didn't take notes on what I learned listening to a podcast. And so I didn't take full advantage of what I was learning. So if you find yourself, okay, this was useful. Maybe there's like 2-3 golden nuggets that you can take on this episode, and you can use them into your life, and it will completely change everything for you, right? Please just maybe take your phone, open an app just to write things down. Write a few words, okay? If you remember, okay, he said this, and you just you write it down quickly, just a few words, just to remember it, right? And be able to use it later. It will be tremendously useful, and we will actually take full advantage of this, just like it was maybe a course, right? It's something that you paid for, something like really important, right? Use it as that, and it will actually be extremely useful to you if you do. So let's go. I must start with telling you about. I'm going to start with the alpha, and I'm going to end with the omega, right? These are the first and the last letters of the Greek alphabet. And this is what Jesus said. What Jesus said is that I am the Alpha and Omega, right? He is the Alpha and Omega. And even if you're not religious, this will serve you plenty and tremendously. Believe me, has nothing to do with religion really, because actually I've taken these things also in a book that has nothing to do with Christianity, right? So no matter what you think about this, it's going to be useful to you. But I must start with my experience in church. So I was in church, the priest said something very useful. And he was talking about the Samaritan, the woman that is a Samaritan, right? Some outcast Jews that just people didn't like them. They were outside, and she was even more. She was like a complete outcast because she was committing adultery with five men, and Jesus was sitting at a well, right? And she came to take water, and he told everything about her, right? Everything about her past, everything that has to do with her sins, right? Her past, and what she was ashamed of, and what she was shamed for by everyone, right? Especially in the older times. And he told everything about her past, and he knew her even though it was the first time they'd met, right? It's Jesus, of course. So the way he helped her was that he told everything about her past. And the priest said that what she did is that she reconciled with her past. Then she reconciled with God. And she learned about him. She was asking him questions. How do you know about this? Oh, he was saying, I can give you water that you will never be thirsty of after drinking from this like life water. And she learned about him, what he could do. And then with this, she was able to be reconciled with others, right? She was able to, she was not ashamed anymore. She was like, okay, this man told everything about my past. I knew about him. And now that she knew about him, she went on and told everyone about Jesus. About, I met the Son of God, right? Now, if you're not a Christian, you might think, whatever, get to the point. The point is that you must do the same thing that this woman did before you start a business, before you do everything. Because the first thing you must do is reconcile with your past. Because the general idea of this is that you must solve your personal problems before starting solving other people's problems. Before starting a business, you must solve your problems. Because most of your biggest problems and biggest mistakes that you could do in business and in your professional life comes from you, yourself, like as a person, as a human being. And if you don't reconcile with your past, you will not basically have solved your problems. And if you don't solve your problems, you all have these problems that hinder your ability to actually solve other people's problems and actually be successful in business, actually be productive. So this is the first thing you must do, right? Solve your personal problems before you go in business. Before, even like if you are in business right now and some personal problems come up, you need to fix these first before business, because this is more important. This affects you, and since it affects you, it affects how you perform. And so this is the absolute biggest foundation. Now, in this area of solving your personal problems first, there are multiple things that you need to do. And this is where these 7 things come into play. So the first thing is reconcile with your past. Just like this woman did. This woman basically did everything like I'm going to tell you about, right? She reconciled with her past, right? She learned about God, and then she was able to go and help others learn about God, right? And this is what you got to do. This is what I did. I reconciled with my past. I forgive myself. I actually solved my personal problems. Then I learned. And then I was able to do and actually help others, right? And actually now help you because I've solved this, right? So it's like the same cycle that you need to do. And in the 7 habits of highly effective people, he tells you about the exact same thing in the first 3 habits. And so the first thing is forgiving yourself. reconciling with your past means that you forgive yourself. You take into account, what did you do in the past? What happened in your childhood? So right now, if you have prepared something to take notes on, right, on your phone, real quick, ask yourself these questions and try to answer them, right? Take a moment in your life, in silence, and be alone for like a whole day and ask yourself deep questions. Try to find the answers to these questions. What happened in my childhood? And just let your mind flow. Like, just write everything that comes to mind. What happened that I really remember vividly and that I like maybe let a trauma on me? Some kind of trauma. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be just like some teacher screamed at you when you did something and now you're just scared of doing this thing, right? It can be anything. We are just full of traumas, but there are some things that actually like hurted you more and right now are preventing you from getting where you want to be. And so you can ask yourself, what are the worst experiences I experienced in my childhood? Or it doesn't have to be in your childhood. It can be just in your past. What did you do that you didn't forgive yourself for? What did you do that you are still ashamed of, right? What did you do that you were shamed for, maybe? Maybe you were not ashamed of at first, but then you were shamed for it. What are these things? Ask yourself these deep questions, and then you can start writing down these questions, writing down the answers that come to your mind, and writing them down is really useful. Instead of just thinking about them, just really writing them down so you can see them objectively, and you put them on paper or you put them on your phone on the screen. You can see them objectively, with like you're detached from them basically, and you do this because then it is easier for you to forgive yourself, to say, you see this experience, this person treated me this way, and you know what? I'm grateful for this experience because I learned this from it. And this is the exact formula that you need to do, you need to say, you need to utilize. You need to become grateful for all these things that happened in your childhood. All these things in your past, you need to reconcile with it and be grateful that they happened. Be thankful, like really. Even if it's something really bad and disgusting that happened, you must find the good inside of this and be grateful this happened and be okay with it. Have forgiven yourself, have forgiven others to be able to move forward, because if you don't, this keeps you stuck, right? And this will come up in your life later on, if it hasn't already. And so once you've forgiven yourself, you are able to move forward. You are able to do more things. And this also has to do with the second thing that you need to do, which is become independent. I had a friend not long ago wanting to go in business with me. It's been a pretty long time. And I said no. I didn't want to. Why? It's because I knew that we were not independent, right? I was not independent. He was not independent. What does it mean to be independent? Independent means that you are able to do things on your own. You solved basically your problems. This is what it means. So you are independent emotionally. So you don't rely on others to feel good about yourself, right? If other people like think you're just disgusting and you're a bad human being, you don't care about this, right? You're independent, so you think of yourself freely. You are independent emotionally, right? You got to be independent financially as well. You got to be independent physically, maybe most of the time, right? If you're not handicapped, it's best to be independent physically, but psychologically, to be independent, like in all areas of your life, you need to be independent. The way you do this is just by solving all your problems first, all your personal problems. Once you do this, you are able to become independent. If this becomes like you can do this slowly and also applying the next things I'm going to talk about. So in the book, Stephen R. Covey, the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he tells you about like when you're starting up and you're a kid, you're dependent at first, and then you grow and you try to become independent, right? And only once you are independent, you are able to become interdependent, which is the highest level, right? So there's dependency, dependent, independency, independent, and interdependent, right? And interdependent means that you're dependent, someone else is independent, and now you can merge both of your energies, both of your skill sets, both of your knowledges, of your knowledge, to grow and have a better result, right? And you don't depend on the other person to get you the better results, right? And this also happens in marriages, and like a couple. If a man and a woman are dependent on each other's, there's always going to be something like that at the root of their problems, and this is what it's going to be. Like, it's their dependency. When you feel dependent on the other to feel in a certain way, you most likely are going to have a lot of problems, a lot of personal problems. Because if the other person says something that you don't like, you're going to be angry and you're not going to be able to control yourself, which is the next thing. The third thing, so the first thing is to solve your personal problems and most precisely forgive yourself, forgive your past, and reconcile with it. The second thing is to become independent by solving your personal problems and be able to be independent, right? To be independent, you need the 3 habits of the highly effective people, which are, if I remember well, be proactive, start with the end in mind, and the third thing, I think I forgot. I think there was 2. It was the 2 I wanted to speak about. So, you need to become proactive. What does this mean? Proactive means that between what happens outside of you and how you react, there's a time, right? So something happened to you. For example, for me right now, I'm just like, there are some mosquitoes in my room that are just killing me every night. It's been like 3 weeks. I've tried to kill them, but they're just too fast. They're invisible. I don't know what happens anyway. And every single night they made me mad. Like, just completely, I went crazy. I was like hitting myself and everything. I couldn't sleep because of them. I mean, I could sleep and then I would wake up in the middle of the night, just try and kill them. And it would make me mad. I would sweat because I would react to every time, like they would just come to me. And at one point, I was listening to the audiobook of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the first habit being be proactive, and between stimulus and response, mankind has the freedom to choose. And so I was like, I have the freedom to choose. I do not have to react to these mosquitoes, right? These are external stimuli, and I can just breathe and not make things worse, because basically when I got angry and I tried to kill them, I just made things worse for like 2 weeks. So at one point I was like, hey, you know what? Hey, you want to bite me? You want to suck my blood out? Hey, go on. Have a feast with my blood. Don't care. And so I was like, okay, I just sleep. And you know what? When I was doing this started to let me a little bit, freely. Like, they tried to let go of just trying to beat me too much. And I think it's because I was less stressed out. I created less carbon dioxide, and I was less sweating and creating, just creating heat, right, in my room, because I was like getting angry, and so they would come less on me. And so I was able to sleep better like this than to reacting to the mosquito, by letting go, right? And I did this by choosing to do so, because between stimuli and response, mankind has the freedom to choose. This is a sentence that he quotes from someone else. I think it was a Jew that was in a camp. He was deported there, and he just saw atrocious things. And he was at one point happier and more free than the people that did this to him, because he was becoming aware and he controlled his thoughts to know, okay, they can have control on the external things, but they cannot control what goes on in my mind. And so I will choose to react the way I want to react. And so he did that. And this happens also when people make you angry, right? If people can control you, you are at the mercy of your environment, and you cannot grow like this. You cannot build a business on this kind of behavior. You need to be able to have problems come your way and not react, but choose to act in the way that you see fit. And so this goes on to the next thing, which is something that I was reminded of from the actor of Reacher, the TV show. I think it's on Amazon, the Reacher. And the actor, I think his name is Alan something. And he has a YouTube channel called InstaChurch. And on his channel, I was happy to realize he's a Christian. He believes in Jesus Christ. And he was saying about something. Sorry for my English today, guys. He was talking about faith and time management. And he was saying that it's our duty to control every single minute of our day. Every single minute of your day is a battle. You need to fight for the control of this minute, right? You need to fight for the control of your mind and not be distracted, because every single minute we are with our phones constantly at a battle. We're just battling for our attention. And we need to take advantage of every single minute, because every single minute that goes by, we don't get back. And I was actually last time seeing an old guy walking, and I could just feel his pain. I could feel how he could not walk. He was really slow, and you could see he was in pain. He was barely walking, not happy. And I was like, this is coming faster than I know I'm expecting. This is coming fast. At one point I will be I might be like this. I most likely will. I need to take advantage of where I am right now, right? He was like an old 80, 90 years old, and I was like, every single second I get distracted on social media, I do not get back. I cannot afford to be distracted. And if you are distracted, you're not going to be able to build a great business, right? But most importantly, you're going to lose your life. And so this is something that he was saying. And I wrote to myself that I need to rewatch this video, because I was listening to it while I was doing a workout, so I did not completely pay attention to it. And so I wrote myself a note, right? So hopefully right now you get a set of notes. Hopefully, right? Because I think these things are already very useful, and you need to actually apply them. So then the fourth thing that you need to do is just remove your distractions, and just be able take advantage of, become aware of this thought that every minute that you just goes by right now, you put a timer on with a minute, and you see, okay, this minute is gone, it's never coming back again. Right now you're 1 minute older, right? It's important. You don't have too much time, so you better not waste it. And so this will help you stop becoming distracted. And this is one of the things that takes off of your energy and will jeopardize your results in your business, right? This is one of your personal problems. If you are constantly distracted, you need to solve this personal problem to be then able to be focused on your business. And then another thing that distracts you from your business and is a big personal problem is addictions. And you might not realize it, but you are addicted to your phone, you are addicted to sugar. And this will just jeopardize anything that you want to take on as a project. And this will jeopardize as well your relationships with people, your confidence, your posture, because we look at our phone like this, right? It's going to make you like have extreme like bad results with this. It is going to make your life a living hell. And I'm not even talking about like if you are addicted to something else than this. Like these are the things that I think most people are addicted on. Sugar and like bad food in general, and social media, your phone, or to just watching, like being like stimulated visually, most importantly. Sometimes even like listening to music can be an addiction. But people that are addicted to alcohol, if you are addicted to alcohol, or you do drugs, this is one of the things that can like make your life a living hell, like literally. And I know this because I've seen it happen with my friends. I've seen it happen with my uncle. I know the effects of this. And I know this because I was myself addicted as well to sugar, to TV shows, right? To movies. I was addicted to a lot of things. Video games. And once you solve your personal problem, because I've actually, like, the first thing I did to really push myself and become like more of this person, like in the personal development world, and started reading books that actually went on to help me to start knowing it was possible to become an entrepreneur. I didn't know, right, at first. And so it was first by stopping playing video games and doing something else with my time, and starting working out, and starting to learn and trying to grow instead. I was actually able to put myself on the right path. And so for you, right now, if you have an addiction, it's going to be so hard for you to build a business. So you better start by, and you don't have to do all these things, by the way. You don't have to do all these things and be completely like perfect on all of them before you start a business or before you do something else, right? You can just manage them really well at first and always continually try to grow on them and make sure that at one point, like, you just, and as fast as possible, you just make sure you don't have these personal problems anymore. And addiction is a big one. And the actor of Reacher, Alan, on his YouTube channel InstaChurch, said as well that you must not be looking back. And he was taking a passage from the Bible where Jesus says, whoever starts to, I forgot the verb here, but whoever starts to do something and looks back on what he was doing before, or lets a possibility, an open door for of something of his past, is not worthy of the kingdom of God or what he's pursuing, right? And so if you are trying to build a business and you look back, you were, I was doing this, I was doing that, and you look back on your past and you go back and you distract yourself just like you did before you started on this new journey, you will not be worthy of having a business that is successful. And so you won't have it. And so you must close the doors, right? You must close the doors to all of these things of your past. You close it, and you close the doors to any addiction. You are extreme in like having no slack, having no possible distraction, having no possible addictions, having no possible cues for your addictions. So not, for example, he was talking about a friend of his, Alan the actor, right? A friend of his got arrested because he was doing drugs, and they found a lot of drugs in his house. And at one point he's in prison, and he was saying to his girlfriend, I'm going to stop, don't worry. And she was giving him an ultimatum, right? And it's either you quit all these drugs or I'm out, right? I can't deal with this anymore. And he said, "Oh, don't worry, I'm done doing meth," right? So this was bad, and I've had friends do that as well, and it is bad. And he was saying, "Okay, I'm done with meth, but honey, I don't think I need to stop. I'm not going to stop smoking weeds here and there, right? And so with this, he was letting the door open. He's letting the door open to the addiction. He's letting like the possibility of going back all in there. If he doesn't stop, if he just keeps a little bit of it, this opens up the possibility of going back all in. And so you cannot have the door opened. You must close it, and close it for good. Once it's closed, you don't ever open up that door again. Because if you do, and it's something as bad as doing drugs like this, it's going to destroy your life, right? It's going to completely destroy your life. And I've experienced this at a way lower level because I was addicted to movies, right? And I loved to continue like watch movies. And at one point, I stopped. I completely stopped. I was like, there's no movies anymore. There's no TV shows. There's nothing. No distraction like this. And I started building my business. And it actually worked. I actually made progress, right? And now I got a pretty good business. I'm 4 years in business right now. And I'm way better at than where I was. I'm not a millionaire yet, but it's coming. And at one point I was like, I'm succeeding in business a little bit. I can watch a movie or two like on the weekend, right? So I got a Netflix subscription again. I was like, you know what? Come on, it's so good. I love watching movies. It inspires me, right? And it really does. But I opened up the door. And at one point, I was not just watching a movie a week. I was watching 2, 3. At one point, I was working and I was watching a movie as well. And it distracted me a lot. It made me waste a lot of time. And so, to me, I think I'll try to find a way to manage this because it's not as bad as doing drugs. But at one point, you need to be focused, right? And so, I think there will be a period in my life where I will not watch movies at all, just like I'm in right now. And then periods like of vacations where I will allow myself to watch movies. And so this way, and I will allow myself in a controlled fashion, right? And the same thing for sugar. So the same thing for like my 2 addictions personally. It's like these are things that I like just easy to do. It's easy to like eat like a sugar here and there. It's easy to watch a movie or to when you're tired at night with dinner, right? You don't lose too much time. You're going to eat anyway, right? And so you find yourself these excuses, right? And so yeah, the 5th thing is like close the doors. Close the doors to any addiction. And to do that, to make this easier, so all these 7 things like build onto each other, right? It's like things that when you do one, it's good. When you do the second one, it helps you do the first one even better, right? And all these 7 things do this in between each other. And so this 6th thing is the 6th thing is controlling your environment and who you listen to. Because I was listening to a podcast with someone talking about depression and being I forgot what the word is, bipolar, being bipolar, and he was talking about suicide, and he just got me in a like bad mood. And this was a guy that I was following. I think it was actually the actor that I was talking to you about. He was talking about a bad moment in his life, and he was almost reliving it, like telling it like he was reliving it in the present tense, right? And it made me be in this bad mood. And at one point I realized it. I was like, oh, just stop watching this thing, right? I stopped. I went to stretch my hands because I have to do this, and I listened to affirmations, to the things that I tell myself about myself, and to be positive. And I record I have like a 30-minute audio of me saying things like I affirm that I'm this way. I'm proactive, right? I'm happy. I'm confident doing this thing, and it's not just I'm happy. I'm confident. I'm confident. And I tell myself, like, I review the proof of these things, right? It's just like, it's not something that is spiritual or anything like this to me. It's something that just is a reminder of yourself, a reminder to repeat to yourself, okay, you are this type of person. And so if you remind yourself of this, you're going to act in this way. And this is what I did. I actually listened to this. I stretched my hands. I felt a lot better. I was getting depressed, like thinking and just listening to this guy speak about killing himself. And this is what your environment has. Like, this is what the power your environment has on you. You need to control it. And this is not just what you listen to. It is what you listen to. It is the people around you. This is something that's extremely useful. So if you have negative people around you, either you cut them off or you reduce as much as possible their influence on you by not spending as much time with them. Put your earplugs on and you listen to something positive if you can't get away from them. But if you can, it's best that you just stop listening to them. Or maybe you try to change the conversation and you try to make it more positive, right? And maybe you can. Sometimes with different people, it's very difficult to do that. So you need to cut these very negative people off. And sometimes even just if people don't have the same ambition as you, it can grow on you, right? So you are really like the average of the people around you, right? The average of the 5 people you hang out most with, right? This is a true saying. This comes from somewhere. And so, yeah. And the 7th thing is something very useful that I did not do this week and I should have done. And it has to do with being proactive. And so basically I had a problem in business. I had to pay someone on my team and the process didn't go through, and I was trying to find the solution, and it took way too much of my time. It was unexpected. It was bothering me a lot. I was not supposed to spend this much time on this just really unimportant thing. It was supposed to be, it was important, and that's why I spent time on it, but it was supposed to be not take any time. It's just supposed to be something really that happens automatically. And so I got mad. I was angry, and I was moving fast. My eyebrows were like this, and you can check your physiology, right? When something around you goes wrong, you can check your physiology because this means something about you. So maybe you clench your fist a little bit, right? You just get tense. You get maybe jaded. You shoulders forward and you just look down and just you fry your eyebrows, right? You're just mad. And what you can do is just actively relax your face, get yourself in a better posture, and open up your hands, taking a deep breath and smiling. And so I wrote to myself, smile. Control your emotions by controlling how you react. Be more positive and smile more no matter what happens. I could have basically in this experience, this took 1 or 2 days this week, and it made me mad, and I could have spent these two days, which I'm never going to get back again, right? I've wasted 2 days being angry, being negative, being more stressed, and having a worse digestion, and having just the stress that I've created made the situation even worse. And actually, when you're stressed out, it makes you die faster. It makes you cortisol go up, and you just it's actually, I think it's proven that people that are most stressed tend to die younger, right? And so I was killing myself by my reaction, and I forgot to apply the first thing, one of the first thing that I told you, right? Be proactive. Between stimulus and response, man has the freedom to choose. And I did not realize I had this power. I was tired, right? And having good nights of sleep is crucial to be able to have this will to choose. Because oftentimes when you're not sleeping well, you cannot control yourself as much. And so you don't have the will to choose in between stimulus and the response, because you don't see it, and so you must sleep fast. So this is a bonus one, right? This is a really, really important point, which I've actually did an episode on. In one of the last episodes was on sleep. Just check it out, and I'll tell you there how to sleep better and make sure you optimize your sleep, and how sleep experts are totally wrong. Go literally after this episode, go listen to this one. It's going to be one of the most essential thing that is going to make you so much more results, because you're going to be able to be 10 times more productive in your business thanks to this. and in your personal life. Solving your personal problems with not enough sleep is going to be very challenging, right? So to be able to do all what we talked about here, you absolutely must sleep well. And so you better listen to this episode I've hopefully linked somewhere, or you can just find it out in my channel. Now, here are some other lessons that are extremely useful. And by the way, one of the things that people mess up to build a business and to actually become successful is to finish things, right? If you don't finish things, all the work that you did before doesn't matter because you didn't finish. If you go and you build a great, insane product and you build it, it's an amazing product. It's the best product ever, right? It's the best solution. It's the best service ever. But you fail to finish the process to actually make a sale. All the product that you've built, all the effort that you've put in for this business, for this product, will be for nothing, right? You will have made zero sale because you didn't finish what you started. And so you must actually do all these things that we talked about, and you must finish doing them. And one of the things that you need to finish as well is this episode, right? This is actually how you train yourself to do something. It's by actually doing it. And right now, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So how you finish this episode, and I'm not just saying this to get you to listen to the entire episode. It's actually going to serve you. I'm actually going to give you right now what I learned from the CIA ex-spy agent, which talked about something more precisely in business, which is going to be useful to sell things and to just motivate people, manipulate people if you want, but it's best to motivate them if you can. And so he was talking about something that reminded me, this is what I gotta do. Remember, because we often forget. It was talking about the difference between messaging and narrative, and how you have to put a message in front of a certain audience that has emotion, right? You need to have emotion in the thing that you say to people, the message that you offer. And he was saying, a message could be for some fathers, it's going to be, oh, you want to be a better father? Or maybe, are you feeling, I don't know what kind of message I'm going to build right now, but are you feeling like you're not the perfect father? Use this app to remind yourself of reading a bedtime a bed story to your kids every day, right, at this time. And so if you listen, this message has emotions, right? This message has makes you emotional in your ideology, right? So, and he says that there are 4 things that motivate people, in which you can use to either motivate people or manipulate them. But before I talk about this, which you can use in the messaging, which is the emotional part, you need also a narrative, which is a logical explanation, right, of how you do this. So this logical narrative is, the process of how you're going to actually become a better father by being reminded of having someone, of telling a story to your kids before they go to bed. It was also talking about how anxiety is an asset. And this spoke to me because I'm someone very anxious. I was like, my anxiety is not a handicap. And so if you are anxious, it's not a handicap. Your anxiety is an asset, especially to people like the CIA. They look for people that are anxious because when you are anxious, it means that you're paranoid and you are trying to survive. And you most likely are going to survive because you're anxious. You see the threats everywhere. And what you just need to do, because at some point it's not really good to be very anxious, you need to learn how to manage it. And you do this by putting yourself in small circumstances where you're afraid, but you can manage this, right? It's not something like you're the most afraid of, and you would be totally paralyzed, and it would for sure be a negative experience that you would not want to sort back. You put yourself in a smaller scale, right? So you do something a little bit that you're a little bit afraid of, right? that has to do with your big fear, but it's not really the biggest feared situation. And the CIA actually does this by putting yourself in a controlled environment. Like, I don't know, maybe they control an entire city or some kind of big neighborhood and just put you in this controlled environment where you can face all these fears a little by little, and they can teach you how to deal with these circumstances in real life. And he was also telling I learned about this, by the way, on a podcast, on the Diary of a CEO podcast. And he was talking about rice. Not the rice that I eat, that you eat, but RICE, the acronym, which means RICE. Reward, ideology, coercion, and ego. What is this? These are what people are motivated by or manipulated by. And you can use this both to manipulate people if they don't want to do something that you want, you can manipulate them to do this, or you can motivate them by helping them do what they already want to do. And he was saying that the most powerful of these four things are ideology and ego. And basically, ideology is what you believe. Ideology is, for example, I'm a Christian. It's my ideology. So if you can manipulate me by making me believe that in the Christian faith, there's something to be done like this. And this is actually useful to you to know how to not be manipulated, right? Like if someone use your ideology against you, you will know this because now you are aware of this RICE concept and how people can manipulate you with them. But you can also motivate me, right? A fellow Christian, a brother, could motivate me to do something because he knows I want to do this and I'm a Christian, and so he's going to use this to make me do what I want to do, right? To help me do what I want to do, or he can manipulate me to help me to make me do what he wants me to do. Works both ways. And this is ideology, or maybe an ideology can be also, I want to be a great father. So this is the concept. I want to be, this is an important thing for me. Or someone that wants to fight for his country. He believes that this is the right thing to do. It's everything that has to do with belief. And the next most powerful thing is ego. And I know I'm really motivated or manipulated by ego. You want, with ego, people want to be known like this. They want to be seen like this. And I try my best to not be doing, for example, this show for my ego. I try to do this actually last time I had a friend see an episode and I was like, oh, come on. I didn't want him to see that. Sometimes I just put myself out there and I tell you the truth, man. I tell you everything that goes on in my mind which I can actually help you out, right? And so I'm kind of vulnerable in here, and I don't realize there could be people that could use this against me. And at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to grow, and what I talk about here, I have most likely outgrown this to be able to put this out there and not be too afraid that someone could use this against me because I've become a new person, right? But anyway, I was saying this about ideology and ego. Yeah, ego, you can appeal, people okay, you want a fast car because you want to be seen like this, you want to be seen as successful, you want to have the status, right? This is ego. This is one of the most powerful thing. The third most powerful thing of the RICE thing, reward, ideology, coercion, and ego, is reward. So reward is, okay, you're going to, actually this is kind of the car, but it can be either a reward or it can be something that is your ego, right? It depends on the people. It depends on the person. You can be motivated by a reward, meaning a financial reward. You can actually just the getting something more, right? Which I really like that as well. And you can also be motivated by coercion. And coercion is, I'm not sure about if this is the exact word that he used, but it's basically making people, forcing people to do what you want, putting a gun to their head, right? And making them do this, or there's this negative consequence that is going to happen. And when you do this, people will never trust you again, and they might do the one thing right now, but you will never be able to influence them or manipulate them in any shape, way, or form ever again, because you've forced them to do something. And so this is the least motivating thing, and the least powerful of these of this acronym RICE, to motivate or manipulate people. And please use this ethically, of course. And I've actually done an episode on manipulation and how you can manipulate people and make them do what you want ethically, of course, using it was about the book Influence by Robert Cialdini. It was, I think there's a lot of great techniques in there that you can use. And if you're in business, if you want to start a business, this is going to be really useful to you as well. And now there was another thing that I was reminded of. So these are like random lessons I'm giving you right now, but it's still pretty useful, and for the right person, it's going to be very useful. And maybe you are one of these because you stayed up until now. So I was at church, and at one point I had to sell cakes at church. There's just like some little cakes and cupcakes, and I was thinking of trying to act like it was like a real business, and trying to create a guarantee and try to like make it fun, right? Because it was like selling at church. It's not supposed to be just selling for profits. It was actually to help teenagers go to a city in France, in the south of France, Lourdes. It's a city where people do a pilgrimage there. I'm not sure about if this is the exact word in English. But I've noticed that these cakes, we didn't really sell them. We just were at the end of the church, at the outside door, and we were there with the cakes, and people just came to help us. And this is like, it sold, like the cakes sold themselves just because of the reason we sold them, right? We didn't provide much benefits, right? Like the cakes were good, but like, come on. And they were clearly not worth the price, right? And they were giving like 10 euros for like small, like it was like not something that they bought just to buy it. It was because we were appealing to the higher motives, right? To something noble. And so when you do this, just like a lot of people do when they do advertisements for associations and people that help, for example, kids in Africa, or people that are in war countries, right? They try to appeal to the nobler motives, and so people feel like, oh, I should help them, right? I should help them because it's a noble cause. And so we did that at church. We told people, okay, this is to help teenagers go to this pilgrimage when they don't necessarily have the means to do so, right? And so you will help someone have this experience and have more faith in God, and this was a nobler motive. We were not doing this selfishly, we were doing this to help a cause, to achieve a mission. And so in your company, you can do this as well. You can appear to nobler motives. This is one of the habits of, to develop, that how the author talks about in How to Win Friends and Influence People by, I forgot the author, but this is How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a great book, and he talks about appealing to the nobler motives. And then I'm waiting a little bit so that a lot of people leave here, so I can tell you about my true experience and just people that really want to know about how I came to be a big success in the future, right? Because this is what I'm doing this podcast for. I'm doing this to actually document the journey, and when I am very successful, when I have built a big multi-million-dollar company, hopefully billion-dollar company, and I've built a great empire, people will be able to see all these episodes that I make and see how I thought, see what was going on in my head, and see how I actually did it. This is why I'm doing this. I know right now what I say has not much value because I'm not even a millionaire yet, right? So where's really like who am I to say all these things, right? But in the future, when I am well, if I already made a couple millions, it's already going to have more weight, right? But when I've made 10, 100, when I've built something great and people know about a brand that I've built, it changes everything, right? So this is why I'm building this. And so now the next thing I want to talk about is, at one point, it was Sunday. I came back from church, and actually I think it was the same Sunday when I listened about the priest talk about the Samaritan woman at a well with Jesus, and he told her about the past and everything, right? This was the same day. I went to take a walk, a longer walk than usual, and I was praying. I was praying Our Father and 5, the Rosemary. Rosemary, I think this is like when you, I don't know how it's called in English. It's when you pray one time Our Father and then 5 times Hail Mary, and then you repeat this, right? You repeat this, I think, 5 times. And so I did that while I was walking with no music. It was calm. It was Sunday. Not many people outside, aside from nature. And at one point I was praying and asking God, okay, so here's my situation. I have this problem. I don't know what to do. And I was being honest and being clear on my situation and just giving my situation to God. My God, like, this is my situation. I need more money. I have this problem. And so yeah, here it is. I don't know what to do. So may you do as you will, because like your will truly, like I was like just putting myself in God's hands and accepting His will. Like whatever your will is, this is what I want to happen, because this is what is truly good. And so I was saying that, and I came back home. I just did what I had to do, and I received a message. I received a message from a client, not a new client, not a current client, a person, a woman that wants to be my client. And there is no way that she got to know about us, because we are supposed to, like, I have made 0 efforts to put myself, like, to have a website and to have all this, like, at the point right now where I'm at in business, the only way we get clients is by sending emails, right? And we've optimized this channel of acquisition to get clients, and this is the only way we get clients, and we never get any clients. Hey guys, sorry it cut, but we actually did have this client with like 0 efforts of us, right? And so this was just God giving me a client when I needed to, just because I let myself in God's hands. And I did have some other things to talk about, but I don't have much time. I don't have much storage on my phone, and it just cut like this. So sorry again. If you like this episode, please like it, subscribe, and share it with someone that you think it might help, so we can help more people. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the other one. And go see the next episode that I told you about in this one, because it's going to be tremendously useful, especially the one on sleep.